in the criminal justice system when you look at the numbers against us, the poverty, jobs. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on there. But when you talk about getting to a level of success, it doesn't even stop once you get at the top of the food chain. They still try to, make things, difficult for you because they don't want you to be free. And then when you get to that level where you act like you free, then, they come after. It's just like when you think about P. Diddy and you listening to a lot of what they're talking about with what he's doing. Like they're making a RICO case out of a freakazoid at this point.
Yeah, and
I mean, if you look at who's the name of the guy who did Hustler magazine? Larry Flint.
Larry Flint.
When you look at the Playboy Mansion, when you look at, you hear more about this than even what was his name, Epstein.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, so this is the centerpiece, and we're all talking about this guy and what's happening. I mean, and it's not the fact that I'm here to defend P Diddy or to say that anything that he does is right or wrong, but it's just that they scrutinize you to the extent. Look, I'm going to tell you, there is no. I do not believe that black people do dirt at a higher level than anybody else.
No way.
I believe they just focus on us more than they do anybody else. Everybody does dirt at the same rate. They just focus on us more than anyone else. And like even and the sickness of us is that basically, if someone was to say that Hugh Hefner had freak offs at the Playboy Mansion, do you think they would bring a RICO case against him? Do you think that podcast people would be sitting there talking about the freak offs? Do you think the FBI would be investigating freak offs? None of that would happen. They're doing it because of him getting to a level, and he's seen, number one, to be low hanging fruit, and number two, you always got a green light to go after a black man. You don't really have to, second guess that objective, right? So, come on. I mean, if you hear as an attorney listening to, because obviously it's not broadcasted live, it's in federal court, but to hear some of the testimony, some of it is crazy. They're like, okay, so some dude gets on there named the Punisher.
Yeah.
That gets up there and testifies about how he does I mean, this went on for years. She arranged certain things. He even made it clear that it didn't seem like, she was doing this basically on her own free will. It didn't seem like he was making. See, this is what's happening. It was all the bag for her, in my opinion. It seemed like up until this point, because I mean, look, man, we're to time period. So, okay, you want to be Me Too, so let's just be Me Too. Let's hold, since we're in a time period where men and women are the same, right? Ain't that where we at now?
Yeah.
Men and women are exact same. So if men and women are going to be the exact same, let's treat them the same. Do you think that they would treat him the same way if Cassie was a man? So she was an adult. She's got to be responsible. Do I believe that everything that he did was, I mean, like, okay, so he allegedly assaulted her on the video. He should be prosecuted for assaulting somebody,
For sure.
for battery, assault, or whatever he was doing. But I just find it hard to believe that and I actually did a human trafficking case where an expert said that every woman that was a prostitute was a victim. That was her analysis. I disagree with that. I mean, that would be like every woman who chooses to sell her body and work under a pimp is a victim. I think all of it's terrible, whether it's the prostitute, the pimp, whatever. And I understand these women who are young, they get into these situations, but she is an adult. Um, he isn't a great person. Don't have to celebrate him, right? You know what I mean. They had no problem with him until, I understand that he tried to make some moves that maybe people didn't agree with, and then the next thing you know, we got a problem with him.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll start by saying this. I definitely think that he's a terrible person. I definitely think that he should be in jail for those assaults because the video is I mean, it's clear as day that he abused her. And we know that's from the stories. I believe that. The issue I have with this is I do think they're trying to take the abuse that he was giving and doing to her and other women and other people in that situation and trying to build a case for the RICO and the other issues, the other things like that. Like they're trying to say, oh, he's a bad person, so he clearly would do these other things, and that's not what we're, in court for. So like when you have Kid Cudi, who was a woman, a guy that she was dating, and he's telling a story about how Diddy, blew up his car and stuff like that. That really has nothing to do with the case that they're
Right.
talking about in court, but you're just trying to like damage the perception of him to help aid you to get the goal, of course, of like prosecuting and getting a guilty.
Prejudice the jury.
Yes, prejudice the jury, exactly. So that's the issue I have. I'm like, because the one thing I will say, I'm confused on like how the RICO thing. Maybe you could explain that the RICO situation with him, because I mean they haven't put anybody else in the RICO. It's just him,
Right.
right? So I'm confused on
How he's running a criminal enterprise.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my issue with it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like you said, like the whole, freaky parties and stuff like that, that was something, like you said, that was celebrated when it came to the Playboy Mansion. Like there were TV shows that showcase, naked women. And I mean, even if you're not saying explicitly this was happening, like we can infer what you're trying to say is happening at these places, like, and I don't know, like you can't put him in jail for being freaky,
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
do that, especially if it seems like in Cassie's case, and like I know she was young and she has to be held accountable. I do think that to give her some grace, there is a power dynamic to it. Where
Right.
he has leverage over her career and certain aspects like that, which makes it easy to say, hey, why don't you just leave? But we saw her kind of try to leave,
Yeah.
and he dragged her back into the room and probably was threatening her and to cut her finances and ruin her career. And in some aspects, he actually did that. So I think they really are killing the perception of him to get him, for other things.
Yeah.
That's pretty evident in this situation.
Right.
And he is a terrible human being. I want to keep saying that. He seems to be a terrible human being
Yeah.
for sure. But you can't put him in jail for being a terrible human being if you weren't like actually charging him for those specific instances. You're not charging for that. You're charging for a RICO, and that doesn't seem to be coming together for me in this situation
Yeah.
currently. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm correct, they were saying that they were trying to get him for racketeering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm trying to see how all this fit together. And I get it that that he has all of this stuff that they keep bringing up about him, and like you say, it's all along the lines of some freaky stuff. I mean, if we put a camera in much of these celebrities' bedrooms and these hotel rooms, we'll probably find a whole lot of people that's doing exactly the same thing that P. Diddy is doing. But when you start looking at this public lynching, or however you want to put it, where you just putting people on display. I mean, if you go back in history, a lot of these other people wasn't put on public display like Jeffrey Einstein, whatever his name is. People wasn't put on display like that. And it's only when it comes to African Americans do they actually publicize individuals like this. We want you to see this so you don't get out of line. And I think there's always this underlying agenda in order to keep people in their place. Is that, look, we're gonna show this, that we're gonna get the biggest and the baddest people who you think that's the richest, and we're gonna lynch them right in front of you so you can see where you don't get out of line, and you go along with the program. I mean, we looking at it now like they just came out with a couple of weeks ago that they after Smokey Robinson now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. I'm like, man, it's the same as Bill Cosby. You going back back to the 1970s? Somebody coming in, and I don't know if it's the 1970s, but come on, this is Smokey, and you going after his legacy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the mo. I mean, it just seems. I mean, this is the thing about you know it seems that because I mean, let's just go back and let's just be. I'm big on hypocrisy, right? I mean, I think that what's hypocritical about what happens with people when they put people into power and they give them that opportunity. The abuse of power is just rampant in this country. I mean, we need to go back and look at, you know, the fact that that's how we became a country. What we see P. Diddy doing, especially when it comes to objectifying human beings and human trafficking, is how we became a nation. America became a nation by exploiting human capital.
Mm.
They raped our women, they raped our men, and they raped our children. That's a fact. That was not something that was sometiming. That was basically the fabric of American society. Is the exploitation of human beings. And what is crazy to me is the fact that we do not sit back and it's almost like we act like none of that ever happened. They exploit the worst part of America. That was the centuries of that. I mean, that's the majority of what America was exploiting and killing and taking advantage of human beings. That
Mm-hmm.
was at the essence and
Yep.
the fabric of who we are as a society.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can digest it, the only way you can rationalize it, is based upon some degree of forgiveness and redemption. But our government is the most unforgiving people that I've ever seen
Yeah,
when
for
it
sure.
comes to prosecuting human beings. Because it's not really, you know, the choosing who is going to be the subject of a prosecution or the subject of an investigation is more important than the investigation or prosecution itself, right? Because the reality of it is you can almost prosecute anybody or
Mm-hmm.
investigate anybody. You can find if you can prosecute someone. I mean, it's almost like they went in. It's like, okay, let's see Diddy and let's go in and dig up dirt on him and figure out a way to prosecute him. That's the
Yeah.
way they prosecute people. They pile on as much possible as they possibly can to get rid of them and put them away. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way that they do it. And not only do they do that, I mean, they do that even with our children. There is no interest in trying to figure out ways to stop any of this stuff. Diddy is a very sick individual, right?
For sure.
But he's sick like a lot of people. The porn industry is profitable for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen shows on HBO, right? You know what I mean? I mean, come on, man. There's freaks all over this country.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They are parties like that all over this country. He just happens to have enough money that he gets to have a live show.
Yeah.
That's it. He had a live porno show. Like, I'm so rich, I don't have to rent the DVD. I can just basically just have it right
Rent the
here in my
TV.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what happened. So, but however, it's not illegal to, there's there's pornography. You can get it on television, right? DVDs, all that. You can go to Las Vegas and get it right there.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I mean? We objectify women all over the place. Look at regular television.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how they even are young girls now. You know what I mean? I mean, look at uh, you know, the way that they objectify children, the things children are wearing, the things children are seeing,
Yeah.
right? Even the whole idea. I mean, it's just all over the place. So, I mean, it's the same thing with R. Kelly. Is R. Kelly a sick human being? Of course he is.
1000%.
You know what I mean? We knew that R. Kelly married Aaliyah when he started in the industry. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you just know that. We knew that he had this thing for young girls. You know what I mean? So, and now they did a show. What was the name of the show? Something R. Kelly.
Surviving our
Surviving R. Kelly, and he becomes the subject of an investigation and prosecution because of a special. It was, you know what I mean? So, they chose to do that. And sometimes I don't think we're our worst enemy sometimes in the crime itself. Sometimes we become the worst enemy in the way that we do each other. I mean, like if you go to like I'm a YouTube watcher now and I watch all these podcasts and all we do is hype up the hype. You know what I mean? I mean, we condemn each other so much that it's crazy. You know what I mean? And that's the internalized racism that we've basically internalized it to the point where sometimes we are the overseers in many ways with some of the stuff that's actually going on. So, I mean, it's crazy, but it's so true, and and it's crazy. I mean, the legacy of Bill Cosby, man. No matter, I mean, Bill Cosby, the money that he gave to these institutions,
That's a tough one.
the stuff that the content of of his art, and the fact that he was committed to producing and showing us, great content and the greatness of black people, whether you're talking about the Cosby Show or a different world,
Fat Albert.
or Fat Albert, the
Yeah.
money he gave. I mean, Fisk was like gone, and he gave all. I mean, he was really. I mean, so he was doing all these things, and in one fell swoop, his legacy is just gone. I mean, I mean, I mean, Bill obviously, like everybody else, is not a perfect man, but nobody is. And again, you go back all that time, and then these people all of a sudden, because you're low hanging fruit, they went after the bag. He wanted to do same thing with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind that Michael was the subject of, you know, they got together and decided they wanted to go after Michael Jackson.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all by any measure at all, but there's one conspiracy I do like subscribe to, and it is connected to the Michael Jackson thing. Michael Jackson owned one of the most lucrative music catalogs
The Beatles?
ever, the Beatles. And he
Yeah.
like Sony, he owned like half of Sony, 3/4 of Sony, or anything like that. I've always thought that the case with him and the children, even though there was multiple different accounts where every kid say nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened, that was intended to bleed him of his money and have him eventually sell that catalog.
Right.
I've always like subscribed to that. That's one that I will subscribe to for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, and then we already know that those little boys, a lot of them, they already admitted that they lied.
Yeah.
You know,
Because their parents got them to say it and all that type of stuff.
right? The money that came out of the, you know, the situation. The same thing with like Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that was crazy. Um, I mean, it goes on and on. Tiger Woods, his legacy. I mean, of course, he's still a great golfer, but it's just like once you get to that, it's just like um, it's like you're a whooping boy. Once it's we got Shannon now,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
In his situation,
Yeah.
you're a mark,
Yeah.
um, and I think that sometimes um, it's a reality that sometimes that we have to understand that we're not making this stuff up.
Yeah.
We really aren't. I mean, when it comes to the fact that you're being targeted in a way that many other people aren't targeted. Because because I tell you that, um, well, and I know that this is Justice Watch, and I just kind of want to just kind of go from the issue of how justice. You know, I'm very, very disappointed in the American justice system. I
Yeah.
just have to be honest with you, man. I mean, every now and then, I mean, you do get some justice out of it, and you have to, but you know, the way that these prosecutors prosecute these cases, and the way that sometimes, to be honest, sometimes the way these judges make their rulings, um, it's just absolutely crazy. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, because they you get prejudiced so much. They'll because see, you have to understand the way these cases. Like for example, you made a great example, like Kid Cudi and the car. I mean, unless they're saying that it was admissible to show a state of mind, or it's admissible to show that her state of mind. I mean, it goes on and on. Or it's just like gang cases, right?
Mm.
Like they, like gang, like a person's gang affiliation should not be admitted into evidence for any reason, because all it does is it prejudices the jury or certain evidence. So that's how they kind of get things in. What can the jury see? Or maybe they can hear, like if you testify, let's say you've been convicted of a felony and you testify, then the jury gets to hear the fact that you've been convicted of a felony. So
Mm.
you don't testify. Is that fair?
No.
Is it fair that basically they get to hear the fact that your gang moniker, right? Or for identity, like I'm just using that to show how this thing plays out in real time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
It doesn't play out the way people think it plays out. It plays out, and so the thing is, everybody subscribes to it. See, this is I'm old school, and so my interest came in the law came from the civil rights movement, from civil rights lawyers, Thurgood Marshall, whose their objective was to change the law because it was unfair and it was unjust. But when we get into the system, we just sit there in the system without knowing that the system's wrong. What are you going to do to change it?
Mm.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, that becomes the problem, is how do you get into this system to change it? And even though we may have black faces that come into the system, we're pretty much just you know unless you're going, and then if you go in and you're setting in a case or a ruling, it's like, okay, let me not rock the boat. And as long as you're not rocking the boat, nothing actually changes. But
Yeah.
anyway, talk to me.
I got a question.
Sure.
All right. So I do believe that there is, buck breaking. I do believe that some black men in certain levels are targeted.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand that these men are also specifically doing things that are negative and harmful to our community.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's take the Bill Cosby situation, right? Bill Cosby, all accounts point to him being a serial rapist, but he's also done a lot of amazing things for the black community. Is there a better way to go about how we handle those situations where there are things that you know give our community that are extremely positive, where if we just completely excommunicated you, we lose access to certain things, but at the same time you're hurting women within our community too. So it's like, is that a thing where we focus more on rehabilitation? Is that, do we send them to jail like, we I guess we normally do? Like, is there a better way to go about assessing value?
I think sometimes what happens, Joe's shaking his head no. I think sometimes it's a matter of the narrative that's created. I mean, the problem that we have is that, you know, forgiveness and redemption. Okay, so do I believe, let me give you an example. There was a time, believe it or not, in my opinion, allegedly, that it was very common for men to give things such as, or people in general, like Spanish flies. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Slipping nickies,
Cocaine,
stuff like that. Yeah.
It was, it was a different time, and people had a different, right, wrong, or otherwise, people saw it differently.
Yeah.
Back 30, 40, 50 years ago. I remember being a kid and people, they used to, that was a term, Spanish fly. People used to give it to people to get them to do certain things or to do. So we live in a different time now where there's things that at some point in society, it's just like when someone tells you right now, like in America, and you bring up slavery, what do they tell you? That was back then. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this is something that Bill Cosby did a year prior to him being prosecuted. Some of these cases were 20, 25, 30 years ago. Some of them were very, very old, and because of the way that they, handled the statute of limitations in these types of cases, allowed them to prosecute him. I think that in the case of Bill Cosby, I think it's a lot different than the case of P. Diddy or some of these other cases, in that it was so old, and some of it I don't believe.
Okay.
And this is the way I look at it. And people are going to torch me for saying this. This was Bill Cosby. I don't think Bill Cosby had to spike anybody's drink to get them to do what he wanted them to do. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, because I know how people get down. I don't, so look, it's just like, okay, I'm just telling you, put some responsibility on it sometimes. If you come up to my room, allegedly, and you wake up because you drank something, and you must have put something in what you gave me, and then you come back again because you drank something and you wake up. Now, how did you know your drink was spiked? It could have just been what was you drinking? Maybe you just got drunk.
That's tough.
Maybe it was a line or something. So
Oh
the thing
man.
about it is, for Bill Cosby to have done this to so many women, and nobody really knew about what Bill Cosby was doing, but every woman tells you the same story over a period of time. I mean, it's hard to keep them kind of secrets in Hollywood and for nobody to
Yeah.
get it out. I mean, some of the stuff, it's like with the situation with Kobe. When you got money, all you have to do is say somebody did something because they got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
They
I agree with
got
you on
you,
that.
man. I mean, I mean, the thing about it is, the one thing that's clear about America is America, when it comes to money, I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? He basically is a serial give you drugs rapist.
For sure.
I
For
mean,
sure.
come on,
But
man.
that,
I
but,
mean, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
so
come on,
okay,
man. I mean, the thing about it is, okay, he raped you, man. Not one of those women went to the police. How many police reports were made?
true.
If you call
True.
me and somebody says, "Hey, Uncle Zulu, I went to so and so's house. I think he drugged and he raped me." What? We going to the police. We're doing. I mean, all these women kept it a secret all these years, right? And come on, man. I mean, there's got okay. Now we live in a woman and a man is the same thing.
I hear you. I hear you.
I mean, come on.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, so
But
that because
it's
this is
just
the thing is
hard,
that
bro.
we're gonna have to make a choice.
It's hard, bro.
We're gonna have to make a choice as a society. In my opinion, I'm all for a man being a man and a woman being a woman. Everybody, I believe in I'm sounding like a Republican. I believe in the traditional household. I believe a man has a responsibility. I believe I believe a man's responsibility is no more important than a woman's responsibility. But now we're going into this era where nobody is taking accountability and responsibility, and everybody's a victim. You know what I'm saying? And now the thing about it is that come on, I mean, so people lie, man. I mean, you as a man, look, this is the thing. We're ruining it. If you are a man and you have something to lose, and you are stupid enough in this day and age to be anywhere by yourself with a woman, you're stupid.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
I hear it.
I mean, I have cameras in my office because I don't for reasons that has nothing to do with somebody breaking in my office. If somebody comes to my office, I say, "Honey, make sure you come. Wife, please come to the office. I don't want to be here by myself," because all they have to do is say Zulu did X, Y, and Z.
That's fair.
And everybody's going to say Zulu did X, Y, and Z. That's where we are. I mean, come on, man. Just because you say Zulu did something, then I'm going to presume, that's all they have to do now is say, you made me do this.
Yes.
Over and over and over and over again, and you have no accountability, no responsibility. Come on, man. And so, the first time, the second time, come on, man.
Correct. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. And we definitely in a time where the accusation matters more than anything else now. The accusation alone can kill you, right? Because people are just running with it.
Yeah, that's all they have to say. I
hear
just
you.
don't ever be alone with anybody. That's where we are today.
I hear you.
We can't even trust each other. Like, don't ever be alone. If I can give you some advice, don't be alone with nobody.
100% hear you. I agree.
It's just like
I
the
hear
dude. All right, so okay, I woke up. I believe I was drugged the night before. I'm on a sex worker's on one side, Diddy's on the other side. 2 days later, I wake up. I think I got drugged. The sex worker's on one side, Diddy's on the other side. 2 days later, I wake up. I mean, how many times I got to wake up? How many times? I mean, you know what I mean? So I was violated for 3 months. I was violated for 4 months. I was violated for 4 years. I mean, you have to. I mean, listen. We need to pump the brakes, and we need to make sure where we're going in our society.
I hear you.
I think we're going the wrong way, and I think that we're not going
Yeah.
to like what we're going to end up with in our society.
I hear you.
We cannot trust you in American society today. You cannot trust nobody, nobody, because all they have to do is say so and so did it. It's just like the situation with, Shannon Sharp and this girl. I mean, okay, Shannon messed around with this little young girl. He ain't got no business messing around with no little young girl, but she is grown. Um. Oh, he says the comment.
I agree with
Them
Joe.
kept coming back or why they didn't go to the police. I disagree with that.
I agree with Joe.
I disagree with that, man. Because see, the thing about it is that you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And I think that when you come to the issue of at what is consent is, did you consent to this? It's like these people are cool with it until things go wrong.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But could it also be that started like you spoken to, you were like things used to be okay like back then, and then you like now we're like okay things have changed. But could it also be a situation where you thought that it wasn't an issue at the time, or maybe you didn't think it was an issue at the time, and then you learned something later? Okay, maybe that was not a good thing that happened to me. Like, cause I can speak to my situation, like people, like my friends now, we look back on things that we were doing like in middle school, and we can look back at now and be like, that actually was not.
Well, she should be charged for calling them. She's a co-conspirator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where does it end, man?
Yeah.
We have everybody blames everybody for their actions.
Yeah.
That's why we are the end of society. I mean, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. This is what I think. I mean, we're in big trouble, man. Nobody's accountable for, everybody has to blame someone else for what's going on in their life. At some point in time, you have to be responsible for your own actions. At some point in time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now it's like we live in a society where it's always somebody else's. It's like okay, Diddy made all these people do all this stuff. Look, I don't care what you do. Diddy ain't gonna make me go to bed with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But even in his case, this Cassie's saying that this been going on for over 7-8 years, and they was in different places at different times, and she was scared to detach herself away from him. I mean, she could be away in another country, but she would always keep coming back to this situation over and over again, and that's what's mind-boggling to me. I mean, how much control do you have over a person to the point where you just don't get away?
I'm telling you, we're seeing.
There's a lot of money involved with this. There's a lot that goes on. It's even with the R. Kelly situation. Not saying that these individuals is not fit. Not saying that they're not guilty of what they're doing, but somebody has to take more accountability on the opposite side. Just like all the parents that was pushing their children up under R. Kelly because of the money.
I mean, this is the thing. The one thing that's good about the criminal justice system is that it's the great equalizer. The one thing that's true about the criminal justice system is that everybody that gets charged has a different opinion of the criminal justice system. Until it happens to you, until that one person says, hey, we went out on the date, and I did go back to his apartment, and yeah, he did take advantage of me. Right? Legally, I should be held to a standard of, I'm going to presume that person to be innocent until you prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Because now I'm telling you, hey, anybody, and there's so many people that are in jail either for something they didn't do or they've been charged for something that they shouldn't got charged with. Because sometimes the truth is somewhere in between. And now the message that we're sending is all you have to do is say he did something.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to say. They can dirty you up so easy. And I'm telling you, man, I mean, because I'm telling there's people that spend 20, 30, 40 years in prison just because somebody made an allegation that's not true. And we have to at some point in time, and I understand, I'm glad that you're making the statement because the way you feel is a way that a lot of people feel. And we need to make sure that we bring that to the forefront and understand that, yes, if someone is a victim of a crime, if somebody walks in and pulls out a gun and shoots somebody innocently or snatches up somebody innocently and rapes them and that sort of thing, yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, that's what we have that system for. But I'm saying we're spending a lot of resources and we are at a time period in our society where accountability needs to be in the forefront. I just think that everybody is a victim now. I mean, and I think that we're headed into a bad place, man. I just really think we're headed towards a bad place, man. I really do.
I hear you.
And I'm saying that, do I believe that Diddy is, I mean, and this goes beyond whether Diddy is guilty or not. I think a lot of where I'm going with it is just an analysis of the no Diddies, like the people in the everyday, what you call it. Yeah, man, what y'all think about the conversation?
It's a tough one, and it takes a lot of nuance. I think it also, it's a tough one. Like I think that it's very hard in a lot of situations to say what you would do in a situation that a victim's in. So I never try to.
I'm the father of 4 daughters and 3 granddaughters. So I get it. If I think somebody did something to mine, man, we got a big problem.
Of course.
But at the same time, we teach them. You got to teach them.
I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, but at any rate, man, thank you for that time went too fast. I wanted to get on the second end of that one. You came back. You came in with that too late, man. All right, well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, same channel. Until that time, stay blessed.
You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda at 106.5 FM, K293CF Moreno Valley.
You're listening to an encore presentation of this program, KCAA, the Inland Talk Express.